Right, in lieu of last night's events involving Marcus Smart, I felt like it only made sense for me to put my voice to what transpired last night, this morning on Sunday morning in the aftermath. I think it was a very unfortunate circumstance. I do not condone physical violence as a response to any words that were said or directed at him, no matter how inflammatory. However, I'm here to say that I don't think it's fair for everybody to condemn Marcus Smart and his character for reacting in such an impulsive manner when you find yourself at point blank range experiencing some pretty aggressive, flagrant, and vile comments directed right at you as a man. Look, this is an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid who's played 39 minutes of high intense level basketball, and he finds himself emotions running high and somebody saying some stuff allegedly pretty inflammatory to him. I think a lot of people, a lot of athletes of color would react the same way. I, for one, can sit here in an honest moment and say, I would have had the same reaction. Now, is it right? No. Should he be suspended? Yes. Rules are rules. You can't put your hands on any fan. But I think the bigger discussion here has to be, these fans, which is short for fanatics, why is their behavior like that acceptable? This is a grown man. This is not a pro-level event. These are not professional athletes. These are college kids, 18 to 22-year-old kids, and a grown man who has a track record for some pretty poor behavior there down in Lubbock. And for him not to be reprimanded at all, for this guy not only not be reprimanded, but be celebrated in the Red Raider program as their number one fan, the same guy who's flicked off an A&M player, a few other events have taken place. I think the discussion should not so much be the focus on Marcus Smart, but the safety of these college kids and what they're subjected to. And I think that's the bigger discussion, because for me, as I was watching it, I was fired up thinking, all this talk about Marcus Smart and how he should be disciplined, what about this grown man who has the age, who could be his father, with the age discrepancy between the two, and nothing said about his poor behavior? I think it's a very sad and tragic event. I don't think Marcus should have reacted in the way he did, but I'm not going to condemn the kid. I think a suspension of 1 or 2 games is fine. I think maybe make him go to some anger management courses. That would be another resolution to all this. But I think the bigger discussion becomes what is allowed in these collegiate venues, what's allowed and what's too far in allowing what these athletes are having to succumb to on the court. I mean, it's one thing to say, turn your head and go report it. What college kid's going to do that in that environment? I think what Marcus Smart did in his reaction was unfortunate, but I'm here to say that I think 99% of athletes in that same circumstance, subjected to those same vile comments, allegedly, would have reacted the same way. So I think the bigger discussion needs to be not what happens to Marcus Smart, but how do we protect these college athletes? It's a kid who has a pretty good reputation. He's widely revered for coming back to college and pursuing his education, and everybody talked about how great a kid he was. And now in the last few weeks, he's had some issues with his temper, kicking a chair, and now everybody wants to jump on a bandwagon and say, what's wrong with Marcus Smart? So again, I'm here to say, as a former college athlete who's lost his cool on the court, it's not okay to be violent. It's not okay to revolt or respond by putting your hands on somebody. But I think you can't sit there on your soapbox and say, maybe you're going to react the same way. So I think a suspension of 1 or 2 games is something that's fair. I think some anger management classes is a good idea. But I think, again, it needs to be discussed how these grown adults act in these venues. Anyway, Jordan Cornette, follow me at Jordan Cornette on Twitter. Follow my YouTube channel page. You know I like to expound upon my thoughts and pontificate on different things. This one a pretty inflammatory one, but hey, March is coming up, guys. Get excited, CI Nation. Deuces.